me out in V like, but don't talk it all. That's really not the truth, I just don't fuck with y'all. I'm only with a few and yeah, my circle's small. Or either by my Danny Ruger in my drawers. Ain't trying to be no tough guy, it's just time race. The softest niggas gangster in the mid-state. My grandma said you lose, you better fight again. At the age of 13.
Okay. Let me adjust the mic real quick. We are back in the building. We are back. We are back. It is 2024. It is. This is the first, and I said the first show of 2024. Hey, we gonna have a good one for y'all tonight, man. Yo, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to go through. So all I want to do today, I want to say Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And I want y'all to buckle up. Get your popcorn, get your Pepsi, or your Coke, or cherry Coke, or whatever you're going to drink tonight. We are here to entertain you. This is Convo with a Boss. This podcast that's growing. We want to thank y'all. We want to really thank y'all. Thank you. Okay, let's get into it. Toy, how are you doing tonight?
I am well, thank you. Start of a new year, singing, drinking my water, minding my business. Not really minding my business, but
Hey, yo, happy New Year's to everybody out there. First off, I want to say shout out to all of the subscribers. We have been steady rising every week.
yes,
We
yes,
over 2,000 and something right now.
yes.
We're approaching 3,000 quickly. Yo, the likes, the comments, the views. I think we are at close to 20,000 views only
Love it.
on 10 or 15 videos. So that's phenomenal. We are growing and y'all growing with us. We are a family. Hey, yo, y'all all our bosses out there, and I want to salute y'all.
Yes.
Yo, give yourself a round of applause one time. Yo, so Toy,
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's a lot to unpack
Yes.
that has an impact on everything. And I think we're gonna just do this a little bit different. We're gonna get right into it.
Let's
Um
do it.
Recently, this week, actually I'll take this back. Last week there were snippets of Cat Williams on Shannon Sharp show that came out. And there was a couple pieces that was talked about. But recently it in full entirely was released. And it was over a 2 hour interview. Pretty good interview, very in depth, very opinionated on different parts, very factual on different parts. Um, he said a lot of things. He went at, let me get my notes together. And this is just some. He went at Ricky Smartley, Cedric Entertainer, Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Michael Blackson, Faison
Yes.
Love, Tyler
Yes.
Perry, Diddy caught a shot, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, Ludacris even caught a shot. That was wild. I didn't understand that one. But hey, and it was a couple other people that caught shots throughout that interview. Now, to the other side of that, he also saluted a lot of the young comedians like DC Young Fly, Chico Bean, Carlos Miller, Country Wayne, Just Hilarious. It was Desi Banks. It was a couple other more young comedians he gave shout outs to.
Right.
Um, I don't even know where to start. So I guess I would say, what did you think about the Cat Williams interview?
Let me start by saying that I like Cat Williams a lot. And I definitely think that he's a bit thrown off. So when I say he's a bit thrown off, I mean he marches to a drum, the beat of his own drum. But I'm slightly thrown off too. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm
Correct.
not the average, so I get it, right? But I don't think Cat tells lies, honestly. So one of the things he said in the interview is, yeah, you see Cat Williams, you say, oh, he's under the influence. He said, I'm not under the influence of anything. He said, and when you see me in person, I'm a lot less funny. I'm more real, which brings me to when they showed that footage of him in Target in Atlanta because he used to date. I forget the girl's name. She was a reality star. Anyway, so he used to date her, and he was living in Atlanta or being in Atlanta, and he went in Target, and him and a girl got into it in Target.
I remember that.
And Cat slapped her. So this is the thing. I think that people kind of play with him too much when they see him in public. So don't get that twisted. Now, Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp got to the business quick, asking very direct questions, and I found it interesting. It's a lot of things I didn't know. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a great interview. So I watched Shannon Sharp's interviews a lot, and shout
Me
out to
too.
Shannon Sharp. He has different people for different various walks of life on there,
Right.
from comedians to actors to musicians, whatever. Um, I believe he opened the gateway for Cat to be Cat, meaning he didn't try to direct the interview in a certain kind of way. I think he did have a format like he wanted to get from, like most interviews are, start at your beginning of your career in life and then, tell us what's going on with, where you at now, and address different things. And I think he wasn't thinking it was going to go the way it was. I think he was thinking it was going to be a good interview, kind of like how similar interviews have went with Cedric, went Ricky Smiley. He had Steve Harvey, just different people. But when Cat came out the gate, and I counted, it was maybe 2 minutes into the interview, and Cat went out and started punching. He had to draw the interview back, and he had to pretty much just like, okay, let's start at the beginning. We're gonna get back to this, but let's start at the beginning. And then he got back into that bag, and then it opened back up to more conversation. So shout out to Shannon Sharp. He really did navigate it, because I think for it could have went maybe 2 3 hours, and he could have just been talking about said comedian this person and said comedian this person. And but the interview itself, I think Cat Williams, this is my thing. I think Cat Williams told his truth. I don't think he told a lie, but I think he told his truth. When I say he told his truth, they say it's three parts to everything. It's your side, my side, then it's the actual truth. Um, without getting into it, Ice Cube did come out and he did clarify some of the things with the Ricky Smiley and the Friday. So this is why I say what Cat Williams told his truth. He did write a little bit and he changed that whole Money Mike image and idea. Ice Cube clarified that. Uh, what's his name? Ricky Smiley did come out. He did audition for Money Mike. He did get Money Mike, but they changed it and ended up giving him the crackhead role at the beginning of the movie because Cat Williams came in and blew it out. The thing is, Ricky Smiley said that. So I watched the Ricky Smiley part on Shannon Sharp. Nowhere did he maliciously or deny Cat Williams' greatness or anything. He just said a lot of people don't know I auditioned for Money Mike, which he did. So do I think that certain things Cat was coming out and swinging on? I think they were uncalled for. I think a lot of stuff was probably like misinformation, misunderstanding, and then just I think like a lot of people fire at Cat and he feels defensive. So when he feels defensive, he's done this before. He's come out and said a lot of different things. Now, is he right? Maybe. Is he wrong? Maybe. But the interview itself was very, very entertaining. It did over 7 million views, I think, in like 2 days. Crazy.
Right.
Um, like shout out, like I said, shout out to Shannon Sharp. He thought it was gonna be good, of course, because you interviewing
He didn't think it was gonna be 7 million good though.
no, no, and still going because that's the thing. It's still going because people are steady dissecting different parts. People are responding to different parts. So, um, it's it's crazy to me. If you went through like piece by piece, every person that Cat Williams have a problem with publicly, none of these people have bashed Cat Williams. I've looked at old interviews. I looked at different parts, like when they talked about Cat Williams, they gave props. Now, behind closed doors is something totally different. But none of these people have publicly came out, said Cat Williams is this and that. I think the only person that might have said something was Kevin Hart when he addressed Cat Williams after Cat Williams steady. Cat Williams was making video after video like it was crazy. I remember this was like 5, 6
Yeah,
years ago, and Cat Williams was
yeah.
like, "I want to challenge you to a basketball match, a boxing match, and then stand up comedy after." And everybody was like, first of all, ain't nobody finna sit through 3 hours worth of competition. That's just not gonna happen." But
Cat is different. Cat
yeah,
is different.
he is. He is. He also. I remember at one point it was on World Star Crazy. He was on stage with Beanie Siegel. Beanie Siegel was rapping, and Cat Williams was. He don't like to say he was liberated. He was. He was either drunk or real high on weed, whatever. But he tried to fight one of Beanie Siegel's entourage members and got beat up on stage. Never forget that part. And I was like, wow, Cat be doing some wild stuff. Or the part when Cat was crawling around, what was it, the car rental place on video camera, like he had came in, he was crawling around on the floor, and then nobody could understand why he was crawling around on the floor. Then he snuck back out. So when people say, okay, Cat Williams is on drugs, they might not know actually if he's on drugs, right? But some of
Right.
his actions be like, okay, what is you doing, Cat? Like, why are you doing this?
Questionable. Questionable.
Very. So I guess my question is, with Cat coming out at say Ricky Smiley and Cedric Entertainer, do you think that he had warrant to come at them the way he did?
First of all, let me say I am a huge supporter of free speech, and that is what social media is for, I think. I think as a people, our community was silenced for so long, right? I
Right.
think we were invisible. I think we were muted. I think we were unheard. I think we were unseen. So I think in the age of social media, we get to say and voice and express ourselves in a way that we've not been able to do previously. And I
Right.
think that's where a lot of it. And listen, can't you can't get paid. You can't uh, uh, blow up. Do you know what I mean? Like I look at maybe even a year ago at Kai Cenat. Is that his
Hmm.
name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right. Social media is it just plays a huge part in, you know, making these people so very wealthy. And so if you can use that as a platform, I say why not now? Was it warranted? I mean, I could sit here and say yes and no. I do support free speech. I'm looking at the Cat Williams picture now. Um, Wow. Do Was it warranted? So this is my thing. You're right. A lot of the people that he talked about did not come back and try to fire at him. And they're kind of like me. Like if something is not true, or if I feel like I don't even need to address it, I don't. Do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of
Right.
them probably feel that way. Why does Cat do it? Cat is going to be Cat. I personally love the fact that Shannon Sharp opened the door for him to be himself. I I I like people to be authentic, their authentic selves. And it's a little to the left. A lot of people think that I'm a little to the left, and I am. I said that. I said I'm different. And those of us who have bright lights, I don't feel like we should dim them. Now, my grandmother always says a time and place for everything. So I always try to filter. You know what I'm saying? I always try to be
Right.
respectful. It still may come out, but I just try to filter and be respectful in doing so. Um, I can't say if it's warranted or not. I mean, like you said, if it's his truth, if it's his perspective, he has every right to voice his side of the story. But so do they. So if they choose not to address it, I support that too.
So I was looking at a lot of different things. I think it would. what initially started this whole conversation was did Cedric Entertainer steal a joke? So the joke is it's many years. It took me back to my junior high, early high school years when we would sit there and watch Comedy View on BET at like 8:30 on Thursday or Friday nights, whatever. And
I rarely interrupt you, but I'm gonna let you finish like Kanye said. But that footage of Cat Williams, that's when Cat Williams' hair was thick. So I
oh
already
yeah,
know that's old. Cat Williams' hair was thick
oh
like a
yes,
girl from Georgia. So I know that footage is old. Like he had shoulder length thick hair, and when he said
that
his hair was
that
shaking.
was
So
that was when
I,
he was Cat in the Hat. That
right,
was when
and
he was
so
Cat in the Hat. Yeah.
so do you know how many years ago that was? Yes. So I personally believe
Ooh, let's see. Let's see. I would have probably been 16, so 17 years. No, ooh, 20 some years. If we're talking about 97, 98, that's 20 some years ago.
Kings of Comedy came out.
2000. So that's like 25 years ago. So we talking about 25 years. This means you're holding on to something for 25 years. So the joke, for the people that don't know, the similarities of the joke. Cat Williams' joke is he's talking about you have a car. It's a raggedy car. You got a hoopty. All right. It's shutting off. So what it is, he's playing music while the car, because you're in the car. You turn down the car because you're listening to see what type of, because we all have done this. We all ride in the car and we turned it down. Yo, hold on, is my tire flat? Is my engine knocking? Whatever.
Right, right.
So he has a cigarette in his mouth. He's driving the car breaks down. He gets out, pops the hood, telling people to pass, all while music is playing, right? He gets behind the car, he pushes it, gives it a jump start. That's how they used to do cars back in the day. Y'all new millennium people, y'all know nothing about this. Said then when you get the car running, you jump back in, you start it up, it usually kicks on and it takes off. That's his joke, right? That's the whole
Right.
joke. Cedric's joke is everybody's moving to the moon, right? They're trying to lead black people because at the time they were talking about let's go to Mars, let's do this and this. So you know how long ago this is. So he said, well, black people, y'all ain't gonna leave black people. We gonna be there too. We gonna be up in our spaceships, driving spaceships like it's a deuce and a quarter. Listening to Cutie Pie, which is a old school R&B song.
Cutie pie,
Yeah, you're gonna hear
you're
research it.
the reason why.
So he has a cigarette in his mouth. He's driving a Cadillac, deuce and a quarter, whatever. People know if you got one of them cars, you're not driving like this. You're not leaning back. You leaned in the cut with your arm over the seat because the seat goes straight across. It ain't no gap. It's a straight across seat. So he like this. He's driving a spaceship Cadillac. That's the premise of the whole joke. That's it. Similarities to the jokes. You drive an old school car with a cigarette in your mouth. That is it. It's not. It's not. Your car broke. Your spaceship broke down. You had to jump behind your spaceship and give it a push start. It's not Cat Williams saying that uh he's going to space in his car. Nothing. It's just a car joke. Question is, since this joke is over 25 years old, right? Do you think there's something personal behind this more than just the comparison of the jokes, or do you think it's just like I really take the ownership of my craft that serious?
People always say time heals all things, wounds, broken hearts. It really doesn't, unless you get to the root of it, right? So
Right.
the similarities, I think, maybe he wanted Cedric to come say, hey, can I use some of this material? I don't know where it stems from. It's a very long time, but if you don't address the issues, there's definitely some energy. I mean, when he speaks of it, it's some really raw energy there still after 20 plus years. So um, Cedric seems to be very calm about it. He was like, I didn't even know that Cat was doing, comedy back then. So it's kind of hard to say. I guess, Cat will really have to just unwrap and unpack for us to really understand where it's coming from. I definitely think there's some similarities to the joke. So maybe had he gone to Kat and said, "Hey, um, I have a joke," but Kat probably would have said, "It's too close to mine." So I don't really know. I don't really know where the energy is coming from, but we could talk about the energy with that. He said nothing about DL Hughley. Notice that.
True, true.
Nothing.
I, I,
Um,
I think you know, I I've been noticing this. I've been noticing this with the comedians. A lot of the older comedians have problems with each other because they're all successful. They're all successful though. They're not like the comedian that didn't make it, or these are all successful, like multi movies, endorsements, different things going on right now. They're still out touring, all that, but they have different problems. And for years, I would hear this comedian says something about this comedian. They've been on the road together. Somebody might have low priced, a show or something like that, or kick somebody off a show. So those feelings are definitely there. I understand that. But my thing is, if we're all successful, we're all making money, we're all doing TV, we're all doing movies, what is the problem? Why are we going at each other's neck? If I was broke and you successful and I'm going at your neck, very much understandable. I'm hungry. But you eating, I'm eating. What we beefing about? I remember a couple years ago there was a problem with Kevin Hart. Mike Epps had a problem with Kevin Hart. Cat Williams had a problem with Kevin Hart. And then the crazy part was their problem with Kevin Hart was because he was successful. It wasn't he did something to them or he stole from them. They felt that he was too successful commercial wise, meaning he was getting all the looks because of all the movies. Honestly, for a minute,
right.
Kevin Hart was getting all the comedy movies. So it's your problem is with the system that came behind him or endorsed him, but it's not with that said comedian. Why do we have the problem?
Or is it because they had to put in so much work and Kevin Hart didn't? I think, but Kevin Hart will tell you that he had to put in work. He had to do stand up comedy. Now, his version of putting in work is totally different than Mike Epps. Old school had to really, really put in work. Um, also, Martin, same thing, had to do so many movies. Martin did House Party and everything else before he really blew up.
Yo, I got a
Um,
movie for Martin. A lot of people, you got to be old to know this. Martin Lawrence was in a movie called Talking Dirty After Dark. And it
yep,
was
saw it.
basically about comedians getting a start in like a hole in the wall club. Martin
Yep.
was a comedian trying to get his break, and he was in the kitchen frying chicken at the same time.
Hairline was still good and everything.
Yes, yes, it was old school. That was Martin's very first movie. I remember
Yep.
staying up watching Cinemax late at night just so I could see that movie, Talking Dirty After Dark. Crazy
How
classic
about
movie.
this? How about one of the old school comedians may have been, oh, it was Faison Love. Faison Love is exceptionally not impressed with the new talent
Country
comedians,
Wayne.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I forget who was interviewing him, but they said, Faison, what do you think about Desi Banks? Now, for me, Desi Banks is one of the funniest cats. Like that cat, like when I first saw him on that mail truck walking, first of all, if I see him walking, it's funny to me. Um, but I really like his skits.
Right.
Maybe because he's from Atlanta and I can understand I can understand the lingo. It's just funny to me. He's funny, he's a funny cat. Faison Love is like, nah, that ain't really comedy. Well, what do you call it? What do you call it? Anything that makes me laugh, bruh, pretty much to me, is
It's
comedy.
comedy. That's
I,
what it is.
whatever aspect, whatever form of expression that it's in, I love it. So you can't really say because somebody's walk is different than yours. I could say the same thing. Like, um, if a young lady is doing whatever, but her walk is different than mine, if it was easier, then God bless. That's just the walk that she was supposed to have. I may have had to put in more work, but it built resilience. I mean, you really can't discredit or talk down on someone because their walk was different than yours, or you had to hustle more than they did. Everything, I'm a firm believer in this. No matter what your walk of life is, it was meant for you. Because I definitely don't believe if God has something for you, you ain't gonna miss it. It ain't gonna miss you. You ain't gonna pass by it. It ain't gonna pass by you. It's meant for you. It's meant for you.
And I really I don't know. I was trying to figure out like with Faison Love, a lot of these comedians, and this is gonna go into the next question. A lot of these comedians acts for these interviews like DJ Vlad's and Dialogue, Cam Capone. It's just different platforms. So my whole thing with these comedians is they get on there, they have to talk. It's like clickbait. They have to talk about something.
Right?
Vlad asked Faison Love about what he think about new comedians, like you said, and the name Country Wayne came up, and he said it's just not funny. And he said, okay, cool, but Country Wayne is saying he's making all this money from the streams and from these skits that go on YouTube and Facebook. Nah, there's no residuals, and I'm like, I don't think he understands how everything works now. He's thinking about movie residuals, and which, to his credit, can help and can hurt because there's people with residuals that's coming in that's only worth like $2. Like I think Michael Blackson said that his check from next Friday, his residuals, one of them he showed a check for like $12.50. Not really much money. It's kind of like a waste of paper because cashing that check might cost more than actually that check that is worth. So the new generation, we get paid off of streams. You get paid off of views. You get paid off of different endorsements, as far as the different ads that come on before your actual, or that come in during, because they put them in the post,
Right.
for your different clips or whatever the case may be. I think the problem is they don't have the understanding of how the business works now. So when somebody tells you, "Hey, I just made $1 million in 10 minutes doing this," but you didn't make 10 million or make $1 million because you don't know how to do it, instead of asking the younger generation, "Hey, yo, man, how is y'all doing this?" You think that the older generation is supposed to lead, so we supposed to show y'all like how y'all supposed to be doing this, instead of asking, "Yo, man, hey, show me how you, or put me on one of these skits." Because I will say this about Country Wayne. Country Wayne has opened up a lot of different platforms for a lot of different art actors. I
Facts.
did not know this, that a lot of those people that's in these skits that have their own storylines now was actors prior to coming across Country Wayne. I've actually seen work from a lot of these actors after the fact of watching them on Country Wayne. I'm like, oh, they have a show on BT Plus, or they was in said movie here, or Mike Bless that was on like 4 or 5 different series prior to this Country Wayne. Now you know them now from Country Wayne.
That's what I'm saying. We saw them previously, but now we know who they are because of Country Wayne. So my thing is respect the hustle, whatever it is. I think Country Wayne is funny, and guess what? Country Wayne, he riding around and he getting it. He get
Yes.
listen. I respect no matter what. I don't care if your hustle is $1 million for 10 minutes, an hour, whatever. However you get yours, and that's how you get yours. Again, I'm one of those people that believe what's for me is going to be for me, and that's it.
So my question is, piggybacking off of that, Country Wayne never came out dish Faison Love in any kind of way in the interview. Faison has went on several different interviews, even recently, still dissing Country Wayne. Why is it that you think, as black actors, black comedians, black musicians, black athletes, black politicians, we can talk about Jesse Jackson, talk about Obama, like we can talk about the different things. Why do you think it comes out publicly? Like, we need to address these things publicly instead of addressing it privately, because I've seen the Caucasian brothers and sisters have beef with each other for years, but it's always behind closed doors. A lot of times you never knew that these said people was beefing until like maybe about when somebody died and they came out with a documentary. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know KFC was beefing with Jimmy Chinkles. I didn't know who that was. But why do you think that in the black community we have to put you on Front Street? We have to bring everything to the social media and internet.
Cuddy, you call it Front Street?
Hey, put it on Front Street.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I don't kick it with you if I don't kick it with you. Do you see what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
That's just me. business is business, and I believe in making money. I believe in having several streams of income. But truth be told, if I don't kick it with you, I'm not kicking it with you. So a lot of people feel that way, right?
Right.
Um, White people, they just be like, whatever, it's fine. But a lot of us be like, he can't even come around me if I don't kick it with him, and I get it. Because like how they always say, keep your friends closer, but your enemies closer. Because guess what? Your friend can get close to you and do some things to you. You watching your enemy. They're your enemy. You're not gonna let them get close to you like that. So I definitely get it. When there's energy, or sometimes you just feel a certain way around certain people. Now, do I think we could talk about it as men and as women? I feel like as adults, men and women, if we sit down, we could talk about some things. A lot of times it's just not going to happen. A lot of times when, you have beef with somebody, I could say that about all the rap, beef. I could say that about, a number of things. I just feel like we're a vocal people. That's just who we are, right? We're just going to be vocal. Like all growing up, my mom always told me, say what you mean what you say, stand on it. I think a lot of times, that's what it is. We're just a vocal people. It goes back to even in our tribal days, right? When we were first in Africa, we dress a certain way. We we're just a vocal group of people, I think, and I think it's just who we are. Could it be handled differently? Absolutely. Does it need to be handled differently? Absolutely. Will it? One day, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like that's who we are.
Now, do you think that it possibly could be, I would say, systematically brainwashed? Could you think that we were being taught years ago how to destroy each other verbally, tear each other down, and then this is just what we in the social media. So now everything is going to be on the internet, anyways. Do you think that maybe I don't know, we need to examine that part? Because like I said, we would tear each other down quicker than another race would tear us down. Now they'll tear us down behind walls, behind them doors, behind the office doors or the studio doors, wherever the case may be. But we go out there, and sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes we had that battery put in our back where we'd go out there and tear somebody down. Somebody be like, "Yeah, man, you need to say something about that." Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
straight out there, push record on this camera right now. Hey, yo, when I see you, I'ma see you because you lied and you broke and I got more money than you. Your mama
On
ain't this and
contact. When I see you on contact, it's
exactly.
yeah. Do I think it's systemic? Absolutely. Let's go back 300, 400 years, maybe 500 years. I'm brown, brown, chocolate Lauren Hill Brown. You know where I would have been, right? You
Right,
know
right, right.
where my lighter sister or cousin or family member would have been. So, we snitching on each other. We trying to get, the upper hand. So is it systemic? Absolutely. Does it need to be addressed? Absolutely. But I mean, let's just devote a show to a lot of the things we need to work on in our community.
Right.
Man, it'll be a 3 hour show. By the way, the Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams interview was 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Exactly. That conversation, it opened up a lot of unknown information about of different comedians and his issues. I do remember it was a couple years back. It was for like, matter of fact, it was New Year's Eve a couple years back when him and Steve Harvey had the show in Detroit, and it was billed as the championship battle royal between two greats. Now, to correct Cat, Steve Harvey had came out prior to that show and said this will be his last stand-up show. He's going to go out with a bang with another legend. Now, the promoter, this is why I say that battery in the back part. The promoter actually builded the championship battle royal. It really wasn't a battle royal. It was more or less, we got two legends. We're gonna put them in. I believe it was the Palace of Auburn Hills at that time because it wasn't the Little Scissors Arena up here. We don't think we had that yet. And they put them in that. They sold it out, and they was like, "All right, cool. We're gonna have this big comedy show on New Year's Eve." Steve went on first. Steve did his regular show, right? Not a problem. Steve comes off. Cat Williams goes on. And when Cat Williams goes on, he goes in like he went in on Ricky Smiley with a minute and some change into the show. That's how he went in on Steve Harvey. But prior to that, on air, he never dissed Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey never dissed him. He never said Cat Williams don't know can't stand up in these shoes. He never said anything bad about Cat Williams. So when Cat Williams went in, everybody was blindsided. Cat Williams described it as, we going into this battle royal. That's what it was. It was a battle royal. So in his mind, he thought it was a battle royal. Do you think the miscommunication that we have as a people, not even just black people, but just as a people, and clarification starts wars between this person and that person when there is no problem at all?
100%. 100%. So many times there are misunderstandings. There are things that aren't cleared up. And I mean, that's before the camera starts rolling, before the podcast starts rolling, whether somebody says something. Oh, yes, of course, of course. Um, while I'm looking like Lauren Hill, there's a song that she says, it's funny how money changes situations. Miscommunication leads to complications. My emancipation don't fit your equation. I was on a humble, you on every station.
Yeah,
Says it all. It says it all.
yeah.
Cat's perspective, the promoter may have said, you go out there and tell them that ain't Steve Hare. Is
Beat
that
him
when
in
he
the back.
revealed that that wasn't Steve's hair? You just never know. You never know. Like when Steve came out as bald, right? I was like, oh, he cut his hair, and somebody was like, yeah, Kat said that wasn't Steve's hair. I didn't even know that, right? Just a lot of stuff that's revealed that we don't. I had no clue. It didn't matter one way or the other. I don't even think I've still to this day heard Steve say anything negative about Cat either. But sometimes, they say, you know, if you're the moon, does whatever howl at the moon. I mean, the moon is so high that you'd be like,
Correct.
I need, I'm not worried about it. So maybe that's Steve's take on it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know. I think everybody has a lane, right? And there's room for everybody in their lane. And if that's your lane, you stay in it and you let everybody else do what they're doing, no matter if they offend you or, you know, sometimes you just don't feel like you should have to defend yourself. And,
So I guess with this being, it seems like it's kind of like a Civil War drawn line of comedians. This comedians mess with these comedians. This comedian messes with these comedians. They all go on tour because if you notice, a lot of comedians take out the same comedians on tour with them. I've
correct.
been to 1,000 comedy shows, and I see, say, Cat Williams will go out with Red Grant, and yeah, was it Yolanda Camacho? She goes with him. Lunel goes out sometimes with him, and but you don't see those said comedians go out with, say, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart got his said comedians that go out with him. That's under his umbrella. Cedric Entertainer, Marlon Wayans has a couple cats that under him that all the time you see with them.
They're clicked up. That's
Exactly.
what it is. Yeah.
It's kind of like gangs. It's kind of like the comedy gangs out here. Like you got your comedy bloods, you got your comedy crips, your GDs, your BDs. What's crazy to me is if you look at the older generation, the Red Foxes, the Richard Pryors, the Rudy Ray Moores, the
Ooh, Dolomite.
yes, you got the Eddie Murphys,
Yeah.
Harlem Nights.
That was heavy. It was heavy hitters in there.
Do could we ever see
Nope.
another Harlem Nights.
Nope.
Not that same movie, but
Nope.
a movie where you see all these facets of comedians, big, small, uh, Reginald, Pops, everybody that was in that movie.
Mm-mm.
Charlie Murphy. I mean, the list goes on. Robin Harris. I can go on. Tommy Ford. It was just crazy. All those comedians in that movie.
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio. How did I forget about Arsenio?
I mean, because he played. Yeah, that was
Like a
that was
legendary.
yeah.
You can't have Harlem Nights without the Arsenio part cut out. You killed my brother, man. Like that pop pop. That was legendary. But
They're so clicked up that I feel like this click wouldn't work with this click for fear of not being able to work with the first click again. It's not gonna happen. It don't happen like that. Or you would see Red on tour with this one, or this one on tour with this one. Now, don't get me wrong, because money talks, right?
right.
Money talks. But I think a lot of these comedians are also very loyal. And so I think rather than burn a bridge over here with Cat, they'll say, okay, I'll just stay over here. You know what I'm saying? And not venture out over here to see what this is going to do. It's look, if it was going to happen, it would have happened before now. And these comedians, but wait. These comedians are like, okay, if I do this show over here with Cat, then I cross over and go over here and do this thing with Kevin Hart. You think Cat gonna welcome me back on tour with him?
See, that's
Nah,
crazy, man.
nah.
So is comedian, is black comedian, is it black comedy the new rap? Is it the new hip hop with all these beefs and all these cliques? Is it that serious? Only thing you don't have, and God forbid, let me knock on some wood, is the deaths and the violence behind it. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the only thing that's separating black comedy and hip hop. Like you got the arguments, the back and forth on social medias, dissing each other in comedy shows or interviews. It's the same thing. It's just you don't have the colliding because they're not in the same venues. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Well, let me take that back though. A couple months ago, you did have Scroncho come out and say he had problems with TK Kirkland, which stemmed a couple years prior to that, where he knocked out TK Kirkland and then sent him to the hospital and then came to the show. I think it was the next night, and that video recently came out. You can look at it on YouTube. He came to the show that TK Kirkland had and tried to rush him on stage, and they got the fighting right there, and they had to be separated. This is they rekindled this flame after somebody interviewed, I think, TK Kirkland about the situation, and he just was like, this happened, and then Scroncho went out on one of these platforms, and I think it was Comedy Hype, and he pretty much was like, yeah, I beat him up, he was doing this, and the crazy part, that was all over a female. Like I said, this rap and black comedy, is it parallel? Is it the new form? Because, and it goes back to my why. Why are we having these issues when the whole purpose is to bring stress to somebody else's life? Like, excuse me, to remove stress from somebody's life. That's what all comedy is. It's gonna be a break from your reality. I'm gonna
Right,
go ahead
right.
and make you laugh, make
Yeah,
you forget
right,
your problems.
right.
But it's all this anger, and what is the anger and the turmoil? And we're successful. We're touring. We're performing at comedy shows. Most comedians, for the people that don't know, most comedians go out on, say, Wednesday or Thursday night, and they perform in a said city for about 3 or 4 nights. They do 2 shows a day. They'll perform, say, at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes even one show on Sunday. And now, if they're a very popular comedian and they're touring the clubs and whatever, they add a second show on Sunday. That's how it usually works. Now, these comedians are getting paid. If you're just saying a basic comedian, they can get paid anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. The bigger names are getting paid maybe 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 a show. You got to add that money up. Now, you at the end of the year, you're paying your own taxes, but you might be walking out of a city with close to $100,000 a week just on the weekend.
Easy.
So we not talking about what Cat Williams is getting. We're not talking about what a Kevin Hart is getting, Cedric Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, these big name comedians. We're not talking about what they're getting beyond numbers. A weekend, the same shows, a weekend.
Okay, let me do you one better. One of the segments that they chopped up for the Cat Williams interview, he said, "If I come to your city and I do a show or two shows, and I make 100,000 in your city, I take 10,000 and I give to your homeless population because who am I to come to your city and generate that kind of revenue and not give back?" So let's just say he does a couple cities. Come on now.
Yeah.
The, yeah, that's not little money.
So where's the anger come from?
I mean, they're comedians, but they're also human. And I just feel like, just like all the rest of us, we have to find a way, to channel and to work through, any kind of issues, any kind of trauma. I mean, come on now. When Cat Williams did Friday, Friday After Next,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't even have tea.
Oh no, people don't know that. When
Yeah.
when he was a comic on Comic View, he didn't have any teeth.
Right, right, right. So we don't know what he went through. We don't know what kind of trauma, exists before he came here. Everybody, I don't care what your walk of life is, everybody is going to have some sort of said trauma in their life. Anger just doesn't pop up in your spirit one day. It sits there and it festers. Comedians are no different. They just make us laugh. They're no different. They're no different than rappers. They're no different than actors. They just make us laugh,
And that is a good point. Even the comedians need an escape
right?
from their pain, their day to day trauma,
Right,
and
right.
it's just you would hope that they're doing something that they love is the escape. You thinking that maybe there could be some kind of happy medium, even whereas if I don't get along with you, right? I don't like you. I can just coexist over here, and you coexist over there, and you would not even enter my space, my mental. Um, which is I think still draws me back to the Cat Williams interview. Is if we go back, I I remember it was maybe a couple months ago. Somebody asked Cat Williams something about Cedric Entertainer, and he put it out there that this joke was stolen. Cedric Entertainer addressed it two different times. He addressed it, I think it was like on the Shade Room, and then he
Mm-hmm.
addressed it on the Shannon Sharp show.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to my question: what came up them 20 years, 20 some years that popped in your head like, oh, and then that joke? Because it's not something that he's addressed over the time. Like prior to this, maybe probably the last 2 years, nobody even knew that that joke was even similar to the other joke. I think nobody probably even remember that Cat Williams joke because we're talking about a joke he did on Comic View, which doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even come on. It's not on syndication. Um, you actually have to. I think you may be able to watch it on the BT Plus app, maybe.
Right.
But for the most part, it's not something that you could regularly watch, like on Netflix or something like that. Uh, and like you said, somebody had to go find that footage, and we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about 30 years of footage
Mm-hmm.
back. Ooh, I couldn't even tell you who the host of Comedy might have been. D.L. Hewley at the time,
Maybe,
or Gary Owens. It might have been D.L. Hughley or Gary Owens at that time, because I think Gary Owens was the host right after D.L. Hewley left.
baby, he went in on Gary Owens too.
See, but this is the thing. Like a lot of people was catching strays,
He don't
have
discriminate.
had never nothing to say about Cat Williams. I think that for a long time he's been people have taken shots at him in different ways. Might have been directly or indirectly. Rappers have taken shots and using like the money Mike
Mm-hmm.
phrase,
Mm-hmm.
this, that, and third. He took. I remember he actually made a diss song, and he dissed the Young Guns from Rockefeller. Because in their song "Can't Stop, Won't Stop," there was like fake pimp like Money Mike. Never did they say Cat Williams is a fake pimp. He's not real. They dissed a character, Money Mike. He took offensive to
He took
that
offense to it.
and made a whole rap song. Like people don't know this. Like you can YouTube is a mug. And this the Young Guns from Rockefeller Records. And I was like, but it didn't make sense. Like what was the purpose of that? My wife, I believe she said he might have the Napoleon complex. And that may be where a lot of his anger comes from. He has to be defensive because, like you said, nobody knows what trauma he went through growing up. So maybe he was being picked on a lot because he was smaller. Maybe because when he got a little older, people was kept picking on him because he was shorter and he was littler than them. He said he was 145 pounds his whole life. That's pretty little. I ain't been 145 pounds since I was in the 8th grade. So I mean, like maybe that's what it is. So he feels he has to be extra defensive when it comes to his name, his brand, just anything. It's kind of like a little guard dog. Like you got one of them Yorkie Shih Tzus, they gonna bark anytime somebody come by their yard. They barking, and they might bite. It ain't gonna hurt, but they might bite though.
And I'm gonna be real with you. I walk my pit bull and the little, I think it's a Chihuahua across the street. I'm talking about it's a little bigger than my shoe, and she has a fit. You know what my dog does? So maybe that's the same take the comedians have.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. So uh, let's flip it up a little bit.
Okay.
We were talking before the show. We was talking about mental illness. Can I heard somebody say, comedian say, that most comedy comes from a dark place. It comes from pain. Most jokes, the funniest jokes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and quote this from Kevin Hart, not Kevin Hart, Cat Williams. Cat Williams once said on the documentary, he said that his jokes come from the darkest place ever. Like a great comedian is just it's damn near like a demon because it comes from dark places. And I noticed it one day. I was like, yeah, the stuff I do laugh at, it's kind of dark.
Very. Let me give you some examples. Kevin Hart, small, right?
Right,
Funny looking, not so much now, but before.
right,
Mike Epps rode on a short school bus, and he will tell you, and I ain't even BSing you, I was on a short school bus.
right. Yep.
I'm going to
Remember
give
it?
you a very serious example now. Robin Williams, the white comedian. Do you remember what happened with him?
He unalived himself. You got to say YouTube unalive. He
Okay.
unalived himself. Yes.
Now, so many times he would say, I'm the funniest guy in the room and the saddest guy in the room. He said that.
The mental
That
illness that they have. Do you feel that their art is a release, or could it be more damaging to their mental?
I won't even call it a mental illness. I would call most of what the comedians have as trauma because it's packed up over the years. It's packed up. Now, if you have a mental illness, usually it's something that you're diagnosed with. So a lot of people aren't diagnosed. They just have this trauma that's packed up. And then once you see someone professionally, then you get to unpack it. You get to name it. You get to call it what it is, right? So
Right.
that's why I call it trauma. Detrimental to them, I think at some point. I mean, I tell people I have a therapist, right? I
Right.
need a therapist. I've already said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm slightly throwed. You have to you have to be self-aware. You have to be self-aware. Like, do you know it's a lot of people that don't know their throat off? Like, why would I say There's nothing wrong with me when I know I'm thrown off. So a lot of people aren't self-aware and they don't know. I think a lot of the comedians know that they have trauma, but in order to unpack your trauma, you have to revisit that pain. And that is a very, very serious thing. A lot of people don't want to sit in that pain and revisit some of the most hurtful, some of the most painful periods of their life. Who wants to do that? Most people pack it down and suppress it. Nobody wants to open up that box again and live that. But in order to, resolve some of your trauma, you have to unpack it. It's packed down. I guarantee you 50 to 60 to 70% of the comedians that we see every day, they have trauma.
Now, with this trauma, I look at it. I look at it like this. I look at the comedian world, and then I look at real life, just the basic average person. Do you think they're less likely to go see, I guess, help, get therapy, more because they feel it's a weakness, or do you think it might affect their creativity? Um, because like most men, we're not going to the doctors. Like we'll pass out before we go get diagnosed with anything, and it's kind of the same with your mental health. Like we'll go after we have a breakdown. But a lot of men don't want to go get help. They don't want to go get help for anything. And I'm looking at it like this. I can't remember off top the last time I seen female comedians beef. Every beef that I've seen is man beef, and you would think it would be more female, especially.
Because
And
we're
I'm gonna
catty.
say, but not even that. Who is the number one female that I guess you would say that was vocal about any type of drama? Monique. And I have
Yeah.
yet to hear a female comedian come out and say anything bad about Monique.
Yeah. I was going to say just hilarious, baby.
But even with Jess Hilarious,
Yeah.
I've seen men come out and say something about Jess Hilarious. I hadn't seen men come out and talk about Monique. I hadn't seen DL Hewley and Monique go back and forth personally, like some
Mm-hmm.
personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just maybe as a men we don't want to get help for that. But I think is it they think it might mess with their creativeness. Like I'm very funny, but if I go get help, will it take away some of my creativeness, like some of that trauma that has made me successful?
First of all, let's talk about the stigma in our community. There's still a stigma about, seeing a therapist. Like women, we have good girlfriends, we have family members that we talk to about what's going on in our lives. I'm not sure if you guys do that, but we'll have a martini party, we'll have a whatever kind of party and talk about the stuff that's going on with us, and we unpack our stuff.
Right.
But we'll also have therapists and psychiatrists, and we'll go get massages, and we again, I think we cater more to self-care. But look, we have to do a lot more with the kids, with life. We're working moms. We do so much that if we don't have self care, how will we manage, right? There's still a
Correct.
stigma in the Black community as far as Black men, you know what I'm saying, seeking professional help. If you don't take care of your mental health, at some point, it'll force you to. It will lay you down. For example, you haven't seen, I wouldn't be surprised if Katt hasn't had some form of therapy because he was getting in trouble. Every time you turn around, he was getting to some stuff, right?
Right.
So if he wasn't under the influence of something, something was going on with him mentally. So now Katt been chilling. Something been going on. Either he's gotten older, he's gotten some help, he on some meds. He says he's not under influence of anything. Those are his words, right?
True. That is true.
Something's going on. Something's going. Even if it's behind closed doors, if you feel a certain way about telling somebody, "Hey, I have a therapist," then don't tell them. But definitely take care of your mental health. It's this day, especially after the pandemic. I just feel like it's one of the most important things that should be at the forefront. It's a priority. Make it a priority to take care of your mental health.
Now, I did see Cat take a break from touring. He took a break for a while, and then he recently came back a couple of years, about 2 years ago. I think he went back on tour.
Hmm.
That COVID break everybody took.
Hmm.
Um, I I do see a change in Cat. He's talking, even in interviews, talking more clearly. I just think it was he had his Tupac moment. And when I say Tupac moment, anybody that remembers Tupac when he got out of jail, didn't take it back. Tupac when he was in jail had a different conversation. He had different interviews. He was talking about, situations that led him to being in jail, his mental, where he was focused. Tupac when he got out of jail, that death row Tupac, that hit him up Tupac. That's why I see with Cat Williams. Cat Williams had a Tupac hit him up moment. He came out, first of all, fuck your clique and fuck your bitch and everything that you claim. Fuck you as a bad boy, as a record label, as a staff. Diddy threw Diddy a shot. Now, I don't even know if it's true, right? Now, he said he has receipts, and I'm the kind of person that's like this. If you call somebody a snitch, you got to show paperwork. You got to show paperwork. You can't just call him a snitch. If you say Diddy wanted to party, Diddy wanted your asshole and was gonna
That
pay you
ain't
$50 million. He
that
did.
ain't what he said.
What did he say?
He implied that
Implied.
Diddy likes to party.
But
And
hold
Diddy
on.
likes,
What was
you
the
have to tell
context?
Diddy no. He said in order to protect this virgin hole I was telling you about,
Right.
Shannon,
Right.
when Diddy likes to party and he says, "Hey, you want to party?" You have to tell Diddy no. Now, a lot of the people that are coming out, they didn't say that Diddy was involved. They said that Diddy likes to record and watch and that type of thing. So
Okay.
we don't know the context,
The
but
context of the Cat Williams interview was I had to turn $50 million down 4 times. And then he said $50 million. Shannon, $50 million. Okay, well, $50 million. He said, because Diddy likes to party. Then he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Shannon started looking like, hold on, y'all keep y'all fingers on the button because y'all might have to pause this because this might go somewhere else. And he was like, Diddy wants to party, implying that he was offered some money for a Diddy party. If Diddy was involved or not involved, recording,
right,
watching, whatever the case
right,
may be.
right,
Like
right,
I
right,
said,
right.
Diddy ain't had nothing to do with that. Diddy somewhere sitting there chilling. He resigned from different businesses. He like, man, look, let me just go ahead and let this little weather storm. Let's go through some court cases. Let me get a couple wins, and I can come back. Nope, you steady catching these strays, Diddy. You gonna catch these strays real quick. So when I say he had a Tupac hit him up moment, anybody was getting hit. Just like Tupac when he came out, he didn't have really problems with Jay-Z. He didn't have problems with Mobb Deep, but they were aligned on that side. Meaning you were with the people that I don't like, so you're gonna catch these shots. Just like Nas. He didn't have a problem with Nas. He even had a conversation with Nas and they worked it out. But you over there with said person that I have a problem with, so you finna catch these shots too. So I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, comedy is the new hip hop. Now, God forbid anything happen, which I don't because it's not even the same atmosphere. Like there's
Mm-mm.
not a comedy crew and this comedy crew getting booked on the same night. If so, I think you're the most retarded and horriblest promoter ever. But even that, the money wise, it wouldn't work because usually when you book and said comedian, they already have their openers, so you're paying that fee anyway. So I don't see them getting into it at the BET Hip Hop Awards or something like that. But I think Cat Williams definitely has some type of therapy, some type of help, some type of break
It
because
shows.
he's not getting in trouble. He was going to jail like every other week.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And
now,
and and if that stopped, hey, that's a he won up
yeah. I mean, like he would go to jail. And you'd be like, man, Cat Williams ain't getting out of this.
again,
And then he'd be like, dang, Cat Williams got caught with a
again.
gun at the airport. I'm like, whoa, for real?
Hmm.
Dang, he ain't never
Hmm.
getting out of this one. Cat Williams hanging out with Suge Knight. Suge Knight, why the fuck is you hanging out with Suge Knight? Cat Williams? I still don't understand that connection, but hey, who knows? But if you could ever put a comedy lineup together, who is your if you could put 5 comedians on a stage one night, shutting it down, ATL closing up everything, clubs, strip clubs, nothing moving down there. Who's your 5 comedians?
Bernie Mac,
Okay,
Robin Harris,
okay,
Cat Williams.
okay.
I'm gonna have to throw some young ones in there. Desi Banks and I can't name any dead comedians.
But you already did Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac is
Oh,
he bingo.
so
And
yeah,
Robin
right, right,
Harris.
right, right. Okay, so then let me throw Richard Pryor in there too.
Okay, that's gonna shut it down. Your 5.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Give me your
okay.
5.
My 5. I'm gonna shut it down. So when I do this context, I'm talking about in their prime. We're talking about
Okay.
prime.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna take Eddie Murphy, and
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you what era I want Eddie Murphy in. I want Eddie Murphy
Raw,
leather suit.
raw. I knew you
I,
was gonna
I
say
don't even
raw.
I don't even think I want Raw. I want between Raw and Delirious. Raw and Delirious, because Raw was his last stand up that went.
So
"Urgh,"
that's
but that
that's
that
that,
red suit Delirious, not the purple suit Raw, but that red suit Delirious,
that's what I'm talking about. Oh,
that
okay, okay.
80s.
Delirious. Okay,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
give me that one because we talking about his auntie that was falling down the stairs and all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
So give me that Eddie,
Mhm,
give
mhm.
me give me Kevin Hart before the movies,
Okay.
like Little Big Man, between Little Big Man and the other one that he had, what he had, the fire. I forgot what it was. He had sold out like New York, Madison Square Garden twice. Give
Mhm,
me that
mhm.
Kevin Hart.
Okay.
All right, give me Dave Chappelle. Give me Dave Chappelle. You can give me Dave Chappelle. I'm gonna be honest. I've been a Dave Chappelle fan for a long, long time. You can give me controversial, not Dave Chappelle, or you can give me killing them softly, Dave Chappelle. Because Dave Chappelle, even then, was hilarious as hell. You matter of fact, give me a Chappelle show, Dave Chappelle. Give me that Dave Chappelle show.
Okay.
Season
Okay.
between season 1 and season 2.
Okay.
So that's 3.
Mhm.
Ah, let's see, let's see.
This is hard now.
Now I gotta finish on my last 2. Now
It's
everybody
hard.
know I love me some Bernie Mac. I love me some Bernie Mac.
Uh-huh.
But
But
but I can't do Bernie. I can't do Bernie.
if you think long, you think wrong. Who you got?
I can't do Bernie. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip it up on you. Give me Andrew Dice Clay. If y'all don't know who Andrew Dice Clay is, y'all better do some research on Andrew Dice Clay. If y'all think anything y'all be hearing on these sexy reds and all this music that's been going on, people, if you think Kevin Gates is raw, go get Andrew Dice Clay. Get Andrew Dice Clay in the 80s, like the late 80s. Give me that Andrew Dice Clay. Raw Andrew Dice Clay.
And who's your last one?
My last one. Last comedian. Woo. Like I said, I hadn't seen a lot of comedians. Fuck it. Give me Damon Wayans. Damon
I didn't
Wayans.
expect that.
Give me Damon Wayans and his 92, I think
In Living Color?
92. It's after Living Color. It's right before My Wife and My Kids, Damon Wayans. This is back when he was doing movies like The Last Boy Scout, all the movies, that little run that he had right then and there. He also had a couple HBO stand-up specials. Killing them.
Let me tell you
Killing them.
something. What this conversation tonight is gonna make me do. I'm gonna figure out how I probably can watch some Dolomite movies tomorrow. I think all day tomorrow I'm watching Dolomite movies. How did I? You know what? I only had five. I should have threw Rudy Ray Moore in there somewhere.
Yo,
That
way
cat.
down in the jungle deep, Signify Lion stepped on the motherfucking monkey's feet. Yo,
That's my
classic,
boy. And a player
classic.
too. Funny and a
What?
player. Always had some women. Always two or three.
Yo, I'm gonna be like this, and I don't want this to go this wrong way because this is one of my. He's one of my top five. But I have to say this, and I probably won't ever get to interview him ever. But I don't think I was gonna be able to anyway. Uh, Eddie Murphy, you are totally wrong for the Rudy Ray Moore story that was on Netflix. Uh man,
I didn't see it.
yo, I don't know if it's still on there. It was a Netflix movie, so it probably still is. The storyline of it, good. The reenactment of Rudy Ray Moore, I felt maybe the old Eddie Murphy, because remember Eddie Murphy was great at doing impersonations.
Mm-hmm.
It did not do Rudy Ray Moore any justice in this movie.
Hmm.
I promise you it did. I was so upset. And as a kid, and I probably my grandma, God bless the dead, Annie Mae Woodson, used to have us watch Dolomite all day long. We will watch Dolomite. We will watch
Your
the
grandma
Mac.
let you watch Dolomite? We could. My grandma would
Okay,
never.
yo, different story. At different time, we're gonna have this conversation about my grandma. She
Okay.
was a gangster. She was a gangster.
Okay.
She wasn't
Okay.
saved all
Okay.
her
Okay.
life.
Okay.
She wasn't saved all
Okay.
her life.
Okay.
But we will watch Willie Dynamite. We will watch the Mac. We will watch all the black exploitation movies. Cleopatra Jones, Sheba Baby. Like it's just unlimited movies we would watch. And I remember as I was probably as young as 6 or 7 watching these movies. Half the stuff didn't even know nothing about. I was just like, ooh, ooh. As I got older, I was like, yo,
Mm.
Granny, what was y'all
What's up with
issue?
that?
Why was y'all let me watch this again? Cause
Hmm.
I ain't know nothing about none of this stuff, but I quickly learned. I remember going to school and talking to the teachers the next day and talking about, hey, yeah, so on Dolomite, the teacher like, hold on, Dolomite, what what, what you doing sneaking to watch? No, I ain't sneaking to watch. I was watching with my granny. Me and my granny was watching Dolomite.
Cuddy, what about the fighting scenes, bruh?
Oh, that was the most horriblest fighting scenes ever.
But let me tell you, I was just like this, glued.
Most, if you watch it now, you would think like, okay, their budget was horrible, but
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
the movies was so entertaining. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, Rudy Ray Moore, and when you watch the story, you will sit there and because they reenact like a different couple of the movies, and you would be like, this is hilarious. And he explains why they shot those fighting scenes like that. Like
Hmm.
it was more or less being comedic, and they had no training. They didn't. They wasn't like these people were martial artists or anything
Right.
like that. Nah,
Right.
they would go out there and throw a kick up in some bell bottoms and act like the guy's way over there and act like the guy got hit. He'll fly about 50, 100 feet,
Hmm.
but it was a different type of era, and they made a different type of movie.
Good
Um,
energy. Good energy.
and they were legend. These movies are legends. If you can find them on Tubi, if you can find
Hmm.
them on Hulu or whatever you
Hmm.
watch, whatever streaming service, definitely, I advise you to
Check
do
them
it.
out. Right.
I'm looking for because I had it on VHS. This is how old this is. I'm looking for Willie Dynamite. They don't have it on any streaming service.
Mm.
So if anybody got that on DVD, hit me up. Leave a comment in the bottom. I will buy it from you personally. I promise you, because that is a classic movie. It's an old pimp movie, but it was the era. So my top 5 comedians. Those are my top 5. Those are your top 5.
Right. Well, you should have gave me 10, but
We
five. It's hard. It's hard. It's super hard with five. Super hard.
and the thing is, all of these comedians we name for the most part are the older generation of comedians. If they had problems with each other, we never knew about it.
Listen, now when I say Richard Pryor, I'm talking about the Richard Pryor freebasing. That's before they started calling crack crack. Now
JoJo
I'm
Dancer,
talking. What
JoJo
are you?
Dancer, Richard Pryor. Yeah, I know, I know.
Come on, the
It,
young ones, the youngins, like man. See, to grow up in like the early '70s and then the mid, you know, before you get to the '80s, to know these comedians is something in itself. Like that era, man, it was such a treat. It's a treat. Because see, these young ones that they'll never know. They don't know about that old school comedy at all.
nah, the only way they can get hip to that is if they watch YouTube,
But
and
then they still
maybe
don't get that feeling though. And see, that's the difference.
yeah,
It's a feeling when you were growing up to it, and you would go to school and you would talk about, you know what I'm saying? I snuck and saw it. It's a feeling. It's like yeah, it's different.
yeah, and
It's different.
I don't know, I don't know if there will ever be with the times that change. I don't ever be like that feeling that you get when you talk about, like, there was a feeling with Def Comedy Jam.
Oh,
I remember when Def Comedy Jam first came out,
me
like
too.
on
Me too.
HBO, used to come on
Yeah,
Friday nights at 11
yeah.
o'clock.
Late.
Then they moved to 11:30,
Mm-hmm.
and you would sit there and you would hear that it's only 30 minutes at that, but that when that beat kick on, and you saw the little black and white gritty-ish grain, and they walking down the streets, and you see Martin come on
I was
stage,
just
and you
gonna say,
like,
Martin had that little swag. Wow, when he
yeah,
walk out there, yeah.
and you like, and that's where all the comedians, we're talking about all the legends, that's where they got their start.
Right, right, right,
They're
right.
not even gonna say they start. That's where they got their TV start, where you
Yeah.
first saw them, and the only place you could see them
Yep.
is on Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
Then it became Comic View, and
Right.
then now you got you got Instagram, you got TikTok. You can watch different skits. It's a lot of cats that I watch now.
And you
Jack
got
Funny
that
three one
money.
three.
And you got that money too. You got that money.
Yo, a comedian is two comedians that right now, if they keep going, gonna be crazy. Jack Funny 313 and Mojo Brooks. Yo, them two.
Mm-hmm.
When if you get a
Wait,
chance
is
to check them
Mojo
out,
Brooks the light skinned brother with the light eyes?
yo, that's him. That's him. When I tell you, when it comes to these skits, and I think I ain't gonna say it's harder because it's a different challenge. And Cat Williams said that in this interview. He said that those comedians they have a different type of that help them. There's benefits to help them, and then they also have different things that will hurt them and bring them down. So they have their different problems, you know what I'm saying, as well, that they face. Totally true, because I think writing a skit that's only going to be like a minute to two
Mm-hmm.
minutes long, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
tell a whole story in that 2 minutes. It's crazy. Like, if you don't know the Vine days, that's where a lot of cats got they start to, like a DC Young Fly. You only
Mm-hmm.
have 15 seconds in a Vine, so you had to be funny for 15 seconds. Now you see those comedians on the road doing 30-minute to 1 hour sets. They had to take that 15 seconds and turn it into 1 hour.
But this also goes back to when I said find your own lane. Because once you find your own lane and you stay in it and you perfect it and you work on that craft and you perfect it, see, that's what I mean. It's enough for everybody to eat because everybody has a lane. Everybody can't do mojo. Like I just watched something on IG the other day where he rode up to the girl house and let down the window and said, "Hey, Happy New Year." And she said, "How you found me?" He said,
Yeah,
"What you mean?"
yeah,
I love him. I love him.
yeah, yep. His skits is more or less, and they're so relatable because, I mean, if you're in the younger generation, you have that toxic ex where you can't, no matter what, you
Can't
can't
shake
cut
him.
that off. Yeah, you can't cut it off, and then you find yourself sleeping with them, and then at the end of them, hey, yeah, tell the man that, yo, it's a wrap, we back, and it goes to a different thing. Like these comedians now, they have like I said, different benefits. They have different technology. It's straight to the consumer. It's not, I have to go to a comedy club. I gotta go here. They can shoot everything from their house,
Right.
and the money. To be honest, you got to take your hat off to it, like a Mojo Brooks that does stand up, to a DC Young Fly that does stand up, to a lot of these comedians that came from that TikTok and Vine era, that's trying to get on them stages and actually learn the craft.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can make money from their living room. They don't have to go onto a stage and perform. You know what I'm saying? That's extra revenue, but for the most part, they can upload their video right now from their phone and get it splattered everywhere. And
And
then look up, they got millions of views.
let's be real. Some of them comedy shows can be hard, bruh. Some of
Oh
them
yeah.
crowds can be hard, bruh.
Oh yeah. Get up there and not be funny
Yeah.
if you want to.
Even after a few drinks, some of them crowds be hard, bruh.
Um, I'm trying to think, have I ever been to a comedy show they booed somebody?
I have definitely.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think I would feel bad for the comedian if I was there, but I don't think I've ever been to one where they booed somebody. I think gratefully, godfully, I've seen a lot of comedians like Gary Owens, D. Ray, Deion Cole, Bruce, Lavelle Crawford. Yeah, I've not came to one. Even their opening acts have been funny. You know who I did see, and I was kind of let down. It was last year, and it's a crazy thing. Rest in peace again to my granny. The night before she passed, I went to see Chris Rock at the casino in Mount Pleasant, Michigan,
Hmm.
right after him being slapped by Will Smith.
And you were disappointed?
Not funny at all. Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock, love his specials. He was not funny at all. Like,
They,
not funny at all.
but they say he came up off that tour though, simply because of that slap. They say
Oh,
them tickets.
that money, yeah. That money was,
Yeah,
definitely going to be there.
yeah.
But as far as comedian, like, and the crazy part was I got the tickets for free. Got the tickets for free.
Hmm.
But if I would have paid to see that, and I think the tickets were going for like 100 a pop, um, I would have been so disappointed. Was not funny. It was not funny. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what it was. I don't know. Maybe it's the energy after the fact, because this is prior to him releasing his comedy special where he addressed the Will Smith. Now, only thing he did say about the Will Smith slap during that show was he refused to be a victim. He refused to be called a victim. There's people out there that's been raped and all type of different things that been done to them. Those are victims. I just got slapped by Will Smith by the Fresh Prince. That I'm not a victim, and I think that was the only thing. But other than that, even just the comedy that was relatable to any other thing, I wouldn't expect him to address the Chris Rock. I mean, to the Will Smith thing. It's just I was expecting to laugh. It was not funny. He didn't get booed, but he wasn't funny.
Right, right, right. But if you're at a comedy show and they may not boo you, but if it be quiet, it's the same thing, bruh. It's the same
Oh yeah,
thing.
it's gonna hurt your pride.
Yeah, I think even quietness is worse than boo. I mean, like at least they took the effort to say boo. But if it's quiet, it'd be like, nah. Silence says a lot. Speaks volumes, bruh. Volumes.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
it was a different vibe. I was sitting there like, man, and I kept looking at my watch and I'm like, yeah, I think he about to end it in a minute. And then he ended it. I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Now, I think one of the funniest persons I went to see was Mike Epps. Mike Epps was pure comedy, like live. I think out of all the comedians I've seen, I think between him and D. Ray, I was in tears.
I like B Ray. He funny too.
Yep.
Mike Epps is funny too. And a lot of it is the way Mike Epps look.
Yeah.
And let's get back to that trauma now. He'll tell you about all these stories in his life. Trauma. Yep.
And I don't know. And maybe we need to go ahead and put together some type of comedy therapy. Yo, there's a comedian by the name of what is his name? I'm gonna get it wrong, and God forbid me because I want to tag him in this. His father name is Gerald Kelly. He has a son that does comedy for him. Let's see if I can find it real quick. He has we went to go see him in Tampa, Florida. Not, I want to say this summer. And he has a shirt that he sells at all of his his shows, and then on the show uh, it says comedy is therapy. And when I bought the shirt, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, that's true. It is. Comedy is therapy. It's our therapy. Like we go see a comedy show, we'll take a break from whatever we doing, and then that's our therapy. It helps us get
Mhm.
it through. Like
Mhm.
I went to see Marlon Wayans, and Marlon Wayans was talking about the death of his mom and how she died. His name is Isaiah Kelly. That's what his name is.
Mhm.
Shout out to Isaiah Kelly. Um, and he was talking about how he dealt with his mom passing, and I'm sitting there thinking, all right, cool. And I want to say there was another comedian, Deion Cole, death of his mom,
Love Dion Cole.
and talk about her passing. And a year ago, I had lost my mom. So I saw all these comedians after the fact that I lost my mom, and they're talking about the loss of their mom, and they're telling like the story of you're not going to be the same person. If
Mhm.
you know somebody that lost a parent, they're not the same person. They're not.
Mhm.
Like there's no way they're going to be a whole different person. So if you love them, you're going to have to accept them for the new person that they are, because they're just totally different. The person that was in their life all their life is no longer there. So that history is kind of like broken to where now that person is broken. They got to put themselves together. And I was sitting there, I'm thinking like, that's it. Like people will ask you, with losing a parent, how did you feel? And you can't really put it in words.
Right. Right.
It's just some of those things. Like I want to say, well, you know, but you don't know. But when he said it, that's what it was. And I'm like, okay. So it goes back to the therapy. Me being a man, and I'm just macho. You should go to therapy. I don't need no therapy, because in your mind you feel you don't need therapy. But what you're really saying is you're not ready for therapy,
Right.
because you have to be ready for therapy to get the help that you really want.
To receive it, and we spend money on everything else. I promise you, our community has so much money. We spend money on everything else.
Oh, for
But we
sure.
do not value our mental health like we should. Like I'll pay somebody no matter what to have peace in my life and you know to understand why or to break something down so that I can grasp it. Oh man, you can't put a price on it.
Yeah. And then a lot of it is we run from it. We in
Mhm.
denial.
Mhm.
We feel that we can solve our own problem. We
Mhm.
don't need nobody to solve a problem. Why am I telling my secrets and my thoughts to a stranger? I can talk to myself, or I can talk to Auntie, Uncle Rob. He be fixing cars on Sundays. We can talk
who
to him.
who have trauma too. Uncle Rob,
Exactly.
Aunt T. See all this. A lot of this trauma. It's generational, and see that's another thing that we have to deal with. There's generational trauma that we need to unpack. That back in the day they would say, "Oh, keep that swept under the rug." That's generational trauma that we also have to unpack.
Yeah, and it goes to the fact that, well, us, I say as men, we we run from the truth. The truth is, you do need help. Everybody needs help,
Right.
but we like to say it because if we ask for help, we're weak, or we're not being a man. And I hate to say it, we were raised that way.
Yeah.
Mama, grandmama,
Yeah.
daddy, uncle. Hey, quit being a punk.
Hmm.
Quit being crying. You got this. And you don't tell nobody none of this. Don't tell nobody what's going on in this house. Don't tell nobody what's going on with you. Hey, you a
Hmm.
man.
Hmm. Hmm.
Toughen up. Quit crying.
Crying especially, and I remember telling my son that too, to the point where my son he is like so hard, and I'd be like, bruh, it is okay for you to show your emotions. He is a little better, and I mean a little better. But yeah, I mean once I knew better, I did better, and I was like, it is perfectly normal for you to show emotions, and that's something that we need to do. We can't say that that's soft, and that now I'm not saying you know dumb down your masculinity. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's okay to show your emotions be it, crying or expressing yourself, or that's what I'm saying. Um, it's perfectly okay for men to do it. Yeah, for so long we told them, yeah, man up, chest out. That's what we tell
Yeah,
men,
and
and yeah,
and to our viewers, if you feel that you need any type of therapy or you just need to talk to somebody, don't be scared or feel
mm-mm,
that you shouldn't. You should definitely make sure that you go out there and get that help that you need, because you never know
absolutely.
what it might save you. It might save you time and money and
Hmm.
pain and what I'm saying, all type of other trauma that you might be facing down the line. So
Right.
we unpacked a lot of stuff tonight. We
We
we we
did.
we went from the comedy world to beefs to rap beefs. Diddy caught a little stray. Sorry, Diddy. Uh, but we got down to a lot of stuff. We even talked about trauma and what some of these comedians may be facing, and even trying to give them some type of direction to getting help and fixing it. I wish all these comedians nothing but prosperous 2024. I wish them nothing but the best in whatever they're working on, these tours, these movies. I even see that Eddie Murphy has Beverly Hills Cop 4 coming out. I
Yeah.
hope and I pray he do not let me down. Eddie, 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 I think you need to do a testing. You need to let people see this movie. If it's not, because all I'm gonna say is this: Coming to America 2 was trash. It went straight to Prime, Amazon Prime. Beverly Hills Cop 4 is coming straight to Netflix.
Hmm.
Please, Eddie, do not let us down. Don't take a classic and mess it up. Please don't do it. Don't do it because they gave you 100 million. Look, please, that 100 million ain't worth it, brother, because they gonna tear you apart. Like, you need this movie to do very well, Eddie. They gonna tear you apart, Eddie. They gonna tell you to retire. I don't know what happened to Eddie. Maybe Eddie went and got therapy. Maybe that's what it was. Eddie, hey, you need some of that trauma back in your life, because man, uh, I don't know about you, Coming to America 2, I, I, it was sad. It was sad. And they had a budget, and it was sad. I don't know, but anyway, we very much thank all of the subscribers and everybody that's
Yes.
watching this in passing.
Yes.
Remember to continue to like these videos, because pushing that like button is more than giving money to the show. We need
Right.
likes. The likes pushes up in that algorithm, and it gets us
Hmm.
viewed, and we get these opinions and this conversation viewed everywhere. All
Right.
right. Toy, any last words for the people?
In 2024, let's just focus on peace and getting that bag, but the priority has to be our mental health. And follow me on IG at Toy at the ATL Vegan, and peace and love always.
Okay. Hey yo, man, you know what it is. Like I say every show, make sure you love that person next to you. Make sure you love your neighbor next door, because you never know what they going through. You never know their struggles and their problems. And yo, we trying to have a great 2024. Katt has set it off already. We only with 5 days in, and
Right.
he set it off on the second and the third day. So I'm sure it's gonna be a wild year, but it should be a great year. And like I said, continue to like, comment, and share. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. That's Convo with a Boss, COVOWITABOSS. And you can check us out on Instagram at the same name, Convo with a Boss. It's your boy B Cuddy. I got my girl Toy from the ATL. And yo,
Yeah.
we out of here, man. Peace.
They see me out in V like, but don't talk it all. That's really not the truth, I just don't fuck with y'all. I'm only with a few and yeah, my circle small. Or either by my Danny Ruger in my drawers. Ain't trying to be ain't no tough guy, it's just how I'm raised. The softest niggas gangster in the mid-state. My grandma said you lose, you better fight it.